Hello and welcome to Founders Amplified, where we spotlight underrepresented founders who are driving innovation and impact across various industries and sectors across the globe. I'm your host, Narayan Kulkarni, and I'm excited to be here with you today. Today's bonus episode is a special interview featuring a trailblazing leader who is truly driving innovation and impact in our world, and the very first entrepreneur featured in our platform, Ana de Chavez. Ana de Chavez is originally from the Philippines and currently is based in Metro Manila. She is a Filipina development practitioner and a systems thinker, deeply passionate about gender equity and sustainable livelihoods. With over 26 years of experience in development finance and social impact programming, Ana led initiatives across Southeast Asia, most notably the USAID-funded Women in Waste's economic empowerment activity, which trained over 700 women in the lowest rungs of the waste value chain and supported sustainable enterprises that collectively diverted more than 3,100 metric tons of waste from landfills. Her work bridges systems thinking and grassroots empowerment, creating innovative, people-centered approaches that generate lasting change. In this bonus episode, we'll dive deeper into Ana's journey, her work, and her perspectives on why economic empowerment of women and her work in the waste sector are both innovative and impactful, not just for the women she impacts, but also for societies as a whole. And by doing so, we're collectively expanding the scope of what it means to be a founder by giving voice to entrepreneurs who lead trailblazing activities which provide both tangible tools and intangible empowerment, which generates tremendous and multidimensional transformation. To start this bonus episode, we invite you to watch this inspiring 8-minute video, which describes the Women in Waste's economic empowerment activity and provides valuable context into the innovative and impactful work that Ana will be discussing. Let's watch that video together.
Economic empowerment will allow women to lift themselves up from unfavorable living conditions, which are often life-threatening and dangerous.
My name is Angel, and I want to talk about women economic empowerment. Why that is so important for me from a side? Because when a woman earns her income, it's never just about her. It's about the children she feeds, about the siblings she educates, and the community she transforms. I have seen this ripples impact from rural villages to bustling cities. But in the other hand, over 1 billion women still cannot access to bank account, and millions are trapped in unpaid labor or forced to choose between family and career. This is not just inequality, it's waste potential.
Sa akin po, ma'am, kailangan talaga po yun na kailangan natin, kasi dati naman ang mga kababayan, sabi nila ng mga kalakayan, doon ka lang sa loob ng bahay. Mag-antay ka kung kailan kita bibigyan. Ayun yung na-experience ko po na hindi dapat. Kailangan tumulong ka rin, bigyan kang halaga ng asawa mo na ito, kailangan kumilos, kailangan ko yun ang asawa ko na hindi ko mamanduhan. Ayun ang naano ko po, na-experience ko, nag-training ako na yung decision niya, kailangan mong baluktutin. Yung adyon ka lang, wag kang aalis. Pero kailangan po talagang magbukas tayo sa isip natin, tayo mga kababayan, na meron ka rin isang salita rin na paghahalagahan nila, na magiging respeto nila bilang isa kang babae. Hindi bilang isa ka lang asawa na mag-aantay lang ng hanap buhay nila. Siyempre tayo po mga kababayan na kailangan natin ng income . Kailangan natin na pangsarili natin. Siyempre, bibili tayo kung anong gusto natin. Tapos mga anak natin, hindi katulad dati na Sila lang naghahanap buhay, kahit panty hindi makabili. Mga anak mo nagugutom. Kaya ako noon talaga sinabi ko sa sarili ko, mag-asawa ako, kailangan kong tumulong. Tsaka kaya kong mando, hindi man sabi natin mando, gusto ko yung lahat ng pag-uusapan namin, doon lang kami, maghati-hati kami ng ano. Walang boss, walang ano. Kailangan pantay-pantay.
Sa akin, ma'am, ang tawag dito, ipakita mo sa, ang babae kasi at ang lalaki, magkaiba lang yun ang kasarian, pero parehas lang yun ang kakayahan. Kaya dapat ipakita mo na, ipakita mo sa kanila na kahit babae ako, may karapatan ako. Tsaka, binigyan nga tayo ng sarili natin kaisipan para magsariling isip ka at dapat ipaunawa mo rin sa asawa mo na dapat minsan intindihin mo rin ako para iintindihin din kita. Ganun.
In this generation, napakahalagang parte ng isang lipunan, ng isang business o ng isang pamilya ang paggawa ng desisyon ng isang babae. Bakit? Kasi ang mga babae ngayon hindi lang basta marupok na yan o babae lamang. Ang mga babae ngayon ay mga palaban na sa buhay. Sa dami ng pinagdadaanan. So, bago yung gumawa ng isang desisyon, napakaraming oras, panahon, o ibang tao na sinasaalang-alang yan bago yan mag-come up sa isang final decision. And alam mo yun, kapag gumawa ng isang decision ng isang babae, alam mo na mag-i-improve yun, mag-grow yung isang sitwasyon na yun.
But economic empowerment will not only be the driver for improvement towards women's personal living circumstances, it will also be the driver towards systemic changes. And studies have shown that when women are economically empowered and have access to resources, we reinvest them not only to ourselves, but also to our society.
One in 10 women worldwide lives in extreme poverty, a stark indicator of the persistent gender disparities and economic opportunities and social protections. These inequalities are particularly pronounced in employment, access to financial services, and exposure to violence and harassment.
Women's economic empowerment isn't just a matter of equity. It's a driving force for economic growth and social stability. When women have access to education, employment, and financial resources, they fuel economic expansion, lift families out of poverty, and strengthen entire communities. We have witnessed this firsthand through the women we've worked with. By collaborating with governments, businesses, non-government organizations, and communities, we have provided opportunities, business skills training, and personal agency development, and access to blended financing. Investing in women isn't just the right choice. It's the key to building a more prosperous, resilient, and inclusive world.
For the past 4 years, through strategic collaborations with government, businesses, and communities, Women in Ways economic empowerment activity provided over 700 women with opportunities in business skills training and personal agency development in 8 cities. Notably, 133 women have accessed blended financing and bespoke mentoring, leading to the management of 98 solid waste management and 3R enterprises. Collectively, within a single year of data collection, these enterprises have reintegrated 3,100 metric tons of waste into the economy through recovery and recycling, including 985 metric tons of plastic.
Thanks so much to Anna and her colleagues for sharing this wonderful video. So, now that you know a little bit more about Anna's work and what to expect in this bonus episode, let's dive in to the conversation. Welcome to Founders Amplified. Anna, it's so great to have you with us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Narayan. Thank you for the invitation.
You're most welcome. So let's get started. So we heard a little bit about the work you're doing from the video that we just saw and heard, but I'd love to learn a little bit more about your journey. So could you tell us what led you to become a founder of this initiative, and were there any moments or experiences that sparked that decision?
Well, Narayan, the Women in Waste Economic Empowerment activity really came from a concept developed by two women leaders, Melinda and Lori, under the Clean Cities Blue Ocean project. I was handed to me the role to implement it in Philippines and Indonesia. And I think that's when my participation really counts a lot. Because when it is coming from a concept, there's a lot of questions and gray areas. And it is my role to make it happen in both countries and during those challenging times during the pandemic. And what made me very interested to take the role is because in my 26 years in development finance, there are a lot of things that I'm really thinking about how to make financial services or even training to women become more impactful. And when I was looking at the concept, I already have in mind how to implement it. And it's very much aligned to what I wanted. There are a lot of like limitations and restrictions, even when you do leadership roles. I've been in a lot of organizations and I've experienced that. And when I saw that work that I'm going to do, I'm really very much excited to do that. And even if I have to relive my life, I would always take that role because it's very instrumental to my life right now. And I think it's like a culmination of those years that I worked with in my professional life. And I'm very happy to the results that it created. And that's why I'm here talking to you. That's my inspiration why I'm talking here in Founders Amplified.
Cool. Thank you so much for sharing. First of all, I'm so awed to hear that you've had such a storied career and a long career in development finance. You it sounds like you've done a lot of introspection, and while you've been doing great work, and then finding something that was very aligned with you and then implementing that in a way that was both personally resonant, but also, of course, highly impactful to the world. So thank you so much those are some things that I heard, which I really appreciate that you shared. Now, the next thing I'd love to know is, so in your identities and your story, what aspects of those or any other major experiences you've had outside of your identities and stories that you feel have given you a really unique angle into implementing and realizing this project?
Well, my passion is really to help women entrepreneurs since the beginning of my career. I think I would go like grow where you were planted. I was blessed to be given different roles helping them. But on a personal perspective, I think especially for the women we work with in this project, like they were given hope, they were given opportunity. Like in early on in my career, I started early, on a young age, taking like technical advisory roles that I did not realize I can do. But people trusted me, people mentored me, and I think that paved a way for me to where I am now. And just like the same thing that we're given to these women, and it doesn't matter where if you're educated, if what kind of industry you are. I think those are the kinds of things that will really lift up your career or whatever track you're going through. And I think it's passing on to others that would really inspire me. And it's two-way process. When I was in this project, I got so much inspiration and motivation to do the work. Because me as a woman and as a mother, there are a lot of challenges that I face. And it's very it's quite easy for you if those things that are happening to them you can relate to. Just like when scientists or entrepreneurs would like to find solutions for their problems. They know that they're not only responding to their problems, but there are a lot of people experiencing that. So it's the same thing, like providing these women safe space that they can work with, providing training for them, especially those who have not experienced going to school or being undergraduates, and giving them that um you hear them, you listen to them. I think it starts from there. They gain their confidence, and they're able to do more than what they can expect, because entrepreneurship, you can it's being taught in school, it's like a course. But for women who are not given so much opportunity but able to embark on this kind of work, not only because of the trust you're giving them, not only because of the skills that you have given to them, but because you open the space for them to have that confidence. And I think that's what makes this program very distinct. A lot of training programs, a lot of opportunities were given to women entrepreneurs or to women in general. But none of them, I would say, are successful. And we can attest to that because of our experience with 26 years of experience, and with also the response of stakeholders that we had in this program. But as I've said, the concept itself, when I accepted the role, it really resonates to me because I know there's a missing link. Like, you have to listen to the women what they really need. You have to make it inclusive. You have to take down as much as many barriers that would exclude them or not capacitating them to participate, and getting their interest, because sometimes the programs are given to them in as made as it is, like it's not tailored fit. It's like getting it off from the shelf, and oh, we thought this is good for you. Actually, if you listen to them, they know what's good for them. I've listened to a lot of women. They know what is good for them. And there are ideas that I have not realized, and only listening to them, you know what they need? They need to you to open the door. They need you to listen to them, to understand them, and help them walk through with them side by side. Like, even though they are, like they say, they are in the lowest rungs, like of the value chain, the informal wage workers, and sometimes we call them beneficiaries. I don't call them beneficiaries, I call them partners, because I think that also makes it distinct with the program, that the women's participation, they have ownership of it. They don't feel like they're just given something, that they are grant beneficiaries. They are important. I think that's also the critical, oh, that's the most important thing when you listen to them. It's not when they're being interviewed, like even impromptu. One thing that this good is in this program, that we realize our worth, that we know that we are important in the value chain, that we are important, even though people would look down on us because we're handling waste, because we are poor. But they take pride in their work, because somebody, really honestly, somebody has to do that work. And why should we look down at them? We're all important. And it's the same thing for me, from my end, even when I'm starting in my career, even now. Like, you always have to find your worth, because that makes you thrive with the challenges, that makes you think of better ways to do things, that makes you and you wanted to share to others. The women that we work with, what they have in mind, that's why I'm inspired to continue this work despite that the program have stopped. It's because they achieved their dream, they achieved their dream, and they wanted more women to experience that. Who wouldn't be motivated to continue this work if those women, the 700 women, or the 133 women that have gone through the different journeys until they were mentored and given entrepreneurial support, they wanted more women to experience what they're doing. So it's not only a role that's being played. I mean, basically that's my life. It happens to my life. Everything you do with your work and with your career, for me, that's what I always teach the women. It's not separate, because the values that you have, the things that you do with your roles in your career or in your business, it's the same thing you do with your life. So it's very much, as I mentioned, it's very much aligned to my values. And I think, Narayan, I'm turning 50, and I think, with as I mentioned, 26 years of my career has been spent to this, and I wanted to risk more. investing and making use of my time to really reach out to more organizations that will be needing this kind of support. Because when you do this, this is not mere philanthropy. If the local government and the national government, like the ones that we work with, realize that these are viable solutions, not only to provide support for the women, but to make them entrepreneurs, to include them in the value chain, that would create better business, not only for these women, but for also for the bigger businesses, because that's a supply chain. And that would also resolve to the problems that we're facing in terms of increasing or lessening poverty incidences, or lessening GBV incidences, or collection of waste, or preventing ocean plastic solution. So in that intervention alone can address a lot of problems. And it started with believing and investing in women.
Wow, I'm just in awe of what you share. There's so many amazing insights, gems in your what you just mentioned. I will say so. What you shared resonates because my mom, who is from India, was originally an OB-GYN and then changed specialties. She taught me a lot of the lessons that you talked about, like listening to people, really helping them, like holding space, providing space, helping them develop self-belief. The very first organization that I joined as a mentor when I started my career was an organization called We Do, which focuses on women's empowerment in with a focus in like East and Southeast Asia, but also has increasingly a Pan Asian focus. But yes, to your point as well, like one of the first things that I learned, and which which I've taken forward, is you need to listen to individuals. Listening is at the heart, and particularly being a good ally and a supporter to people of women specifically, but people of underrepresented communities more broadly is so important. And really, upon that, taking a systems wide lens and understanding, as you rightly pointed out, one intervention can be powerful in its own sense. But think about all the other ripple effects it has, both in the immediate and the long term, as well as in a one community and another. So again, so there's so many beautiful things that you shared, and I want to thank you so much for what you had just mentioned. And I'd like to, if possible, go into a little bit more depth into one thing. So you've talked about impact. Can you tell me and our audience what makes this activity more impactful than just numbered indicators and just participation of women, who are like so numbers of women being enrolled in the activity?
Yeah, apart from, like, if this program is being monitored, whoever invests in it would see the um, recycling, the recycling, the amount of waste that will be recycled and put back into circulation, the amount of plastic that will be recovered. Well, that would have not only environmental impact, but also would increase the income of the women, and would also create an impact in the waste value chain, because these recyclables are also inputs to a lot of industries. So that would also support the different industries needing this. And, with the training that we provided, because we really invested on the personal agency training, empowerment, and leadership more than the numbers. I myself, that's why I'm very passionate saying this, because I hear it directly from the women, because we teach not only entrepreneurship, we have, of course, the skills of solid waste management, uh, gender-based violence. Gender is integrated in all those modules that we have. We have empowerment and leadership, which is very much the foundation of everything. As I've said, this makes it distinct. Women who have joined our program would tell stories even years after, and even now, I talk to them. Like, on the aspect of gender-based violence, just introducing to them the steps that they need to take. Of course, we don't impose it to them what they should do, because you empower them to think for themselves. You give them the benefits or the disadvantage of doing things. They share also from each other based on their experience. Some of them will be informed of the proper way to report it. Some of them would say, actually, we know the way to report it, but we just don't do it because we have fear from the society. Like, they would tell, why are you going to report your husband? You'll just let people know. that those things happening in your household. And some of them would tell even our families would inhibit us in doing that. But when the women find their voice and believe in themselves and respect themselves and love themselves, they would do that not to separate from the husband, but to have better relationships with them. And we have those stories that were told by the women that we work with, that who trained with us, and we went through the journey, and they're sharing that to other women as well. Like, and now they become partners in their entrepreneurs. Like most of the successful women entrepreneurs that we have also have good relationship with the husband, and it was also developed because they know their rights. They know that okay, it's not only the women who should take care of the household things. We're already tired with work. We collect waste together. When we go home, it's just means going to do the work. Now we understand that we should be equal with this. They tell it to their husband. And one of the women would say before she used to be bitten because like I gave you money, it's okay. And now she told her husband, I can earn on my own. You don't need to beat me. And we have to work together so that our family will be better. Some of these women who learn to the value of respecting themselves, care more for the family, care more for their finances. Those who have, we have one case that before they don't have their own toilet with 8 children in the house, and she was able to understand how to benefit from the business, to do the business better, and of course, having more value on health. She was able to build her own toilet, have separate rooms for the children, and she was out of debt. One woman who started from zero because her business was closed because of so many circumstances. But when she talked to us, we know that she has that ability and she just needs to have that capital. And you know, in
Mm-hmm.
3 months' time, she was able to have an income. And in 6 months' time,
Wow.
she was able to buy her own truck, not from the grant money, from the income she gained from doing the business. So there are a lot of stories that would go beyond the numbers, but I think that's the beauty of it because it really made an impact in the lives of the women. That's why it was not very hard to convince, like for Indonesia, from the Ministry of Environment, as we are talking right now, are
Mhm.
conducting training of trainers how to scale up this program in Indonesia, especially for waste bank managers, because we did not tell that to them. They talk to the women, they observe how it changed their lives, their family lives, and their enterprises. So that's why it's very much a very feasible model, a replicable model that's really um, uh, ready for scale up because we have. While I still consider it as a pilot because it's I mean, when you implement it in other areas, there will be still new challenges to it. But when I go to other countries, observing the conditions of the women in waste in different countries like in Fiji or PNG, aside from the Philippines and Indonesia, it's the same condition. It's the same challenges that they have. So those stories are again the reason why I'm here sharing it to you so that I can be the voice of those women who also want other women to benefit in this kind of program.
Wow. As you can see, I was like crying a little bit because the stories you shared are just so empowering and so incredible. First of all, to just imagine how much hardship and difficulty that the women must have faced in experiencing GBV or just in the general hardship of society, not treating them with the dignity and the respect that they deserve. But then in the trainings and what I absolutely love about what you shared, they didn't just get entrepreneurship training. They also got skills training into waste. They got to understand the fundamental concepts around things like gender equality, social impact, etc. And then that allowed them, it sounds like, to make so many different other changes in their own lives, but also really be pillars of support invaluably to other women. That I found very, very inspiring. And also what I really appreciate that you mentioned was the scalability of the program, but also understanding that in many different countries in Asia, like you use the examples of in the Pacific Islands, like Fiji, for example, Indonesia, Philippines, they're very, each of their own countries extremely culturally diverse, and also in each of their own countries, very different contexts, and one has to be very thoughtful in managing them. So that requires
Yes.
a emotional intelligence, but a systems craft, which requires an experience to be able to design but also manage. So I just appreciate what you've spoken to again so much, so many amazing things in what you just said. So thank you so much. The next thing I would love to know is you talked a little bit about this. I would maybe if you can elaborate a little bit more on this. So it sounds like you've shared some really amazing stories, and again, thank you so much for bringing these stories to our audience. I will tell you, many of our guests have been our female founders working in different parts of the world in different sectors, as well as like. I mean, I also support a lot of female founders and people who have interest in gender equality. So I'm sure like they will 100% will be inspired by what you've shared, but how have the lived experiences and the participants in this activity, how have they shaped your way of working and your approach moving forward? You talked a little bit about this, but could you share a little bit more for us?
Yeah, well, we during the program implementation, I have done a lot of adaptive management because, like you have, as I mentioned, you have to understand the situation. There will be problems that will be faced in the different phases of the program, and I think when I face those problems myself in terms of implementation and managing, I will just go back to the stories of the women who went through it's not the same challenges that I have, but I would say the intensity of the problems that they go through. But they're really an example of how resilient you can be. And if I would compare with the experience that I have, with the education that I have, with where I am now, like who am I to complain? Who am I not to think of something that would resolve the problem when them that they have very limited resources would always find ways. So it's like, we mirror each other throughout the process. And I think that what makes us supporting each other. Because when we implemented this program in other cities, in other organizations, you know, I do not only bring my implementation team or my training team. I bring two of these women with me to tell their stories, and they're very happy to do that because it's quite different when the others were interested to do the implementation. Even the local government or national government staff and officers would hear how do women themselves experience it, what are the benefits coming from them and everything. So it's for me there I would always tell that to them. They are my inspiration, and every time that I'm faced with a challenge and a problem, I would always think actually the way they look at things. I told them, you learn a lot from me, I learned a lot from you. Like, you know, if like for example, if there is this one situation, like I'd ask them, how can you move forward? What else can we do from where you are when we ended the program? It was their idea. It's better for us to associate ourselves like within the community because there are a lot of challenges that we need to comply. We don't want like we don't they themselves wouldn't want to be non-compliant. They always wanted to follow the laws, but they need to have a better understanding of the laws. So and I asked them, so what do you think are the solutions? They are the ones who have given me solutions. So I mean, it's understanding that it's a very humbling experience, I would say. And it would always strengthen my position that, like us who are, we thought ourselves as innovators, implementers, managers, and founders, like, um, they are representative of us. Like, if we would listen to them, I think if they were given the chance as we have, they will be better CEOs, because they've gone through a lot of problems that we have not faced, and yet they're able to find solution. And I think that's the learning that I had, and always keeping it with me. That is very important, and I think that kind of connection that I have with these women, and even some of them that I have not heard the stories, I heard it from my other colleagues, are the ones that keeps me going.
Wow. Again, thank you so much for sharing. I especially appreciate hearing your perspective on these women being mirrors to you as well as you for them. I think that is so powerful and amazing. Now, as we're nearing the end of our episode, I will ask you a few more rapid fire questions or quicker questions. So, the first question I have is, what is one thing that you now know about entrepreneurship that you wish you had known prior to beginning in this activity?
I think because I learned through the process, I think that I should be doing better if I could implement it again, is be more critical in strategic partnership. Like because one organization cannot do it alone, especially supporting women. There will be a lot of people interested to come in, but I think it's being aligned with the objective and the vision, not only like doing bandwagon with it, or like because it's something sexy and new and you wanted to amplify in a way that you wanted it. It should be like organizations that are really true. I mean, sound very idealistic, but I think that what makes it sustainable, because if you're not able to find that kind of strategic partner who are genuinely have that kind of concern, that would really support the program that way, well, you will find more time solving problems with those partnership than dealing more on the important things that you need to do. I think that that's the only thing that I would consider when it comes to that question.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing. As the one thing I appreciate is that you talked about the importance of partnerships, and particularly in such an important issue like gender equality, partnerships are so vital. And also to like waste, for example, which cost cuts virtually all of society as well. I really appreciate you mentioning partnerships as vital. How can people find you, and how can they support your work?
Yeah, they can find me in LinkedIn. In the video, they can simply scan it and they can scan it, direct me to my LinkedIn account, and they can email me through my email. Can I mention it? My email address? It's anna.dechavez.ph@gmail.com. But it's advisable if they can search me through LinkedIn. They can type my name because they can see also my works and initiatives and advocacies and updates about my work.
Wonderful. Thank you, Anna. So to our audience, if you want to see the information in the video, please scroll back to the beginning of the episode. You'll watch that, and also you'll see Anna's information that she shared as well included in the show notes. Now it's time for our signature question. Can you please fill in the blank? I amplify.
Well, I amplify the voice of the women who wanted to make a change in their lives that would benefit the whole community.
Wow. Again, thank you so much, Anna. I'm for being here on this podcast in this episode, and for sharing your journey and your insights. It was so amazing to hear the innovative work that you've done with women's waste economic empowerment and the positive impact that's enabled. And I just want to pause and reflect on some of the things that I have received from this episode. There are so many things. This is such a rich episode, but I just want to highlight a few things which I really appreciated, which I hope that our audience will also appreciate. The first thing is, and I mentioned this earlier, I think it's really incredible that you've had deep experience in the field. You've understand many nuances. You've brought that practical experiences in an entrepreneurial role to then implement a new initiative, but also do capacity building. That I really appreciate. The other thing is, I alluded to this as well. I can tell, and I admire the systemsness, the system thinking ability you have, but also dovetailing that with empathy and the ability to explain those so eloquently and in such a concise way. I admire people who have that skill, that maturity, that like the practical ability to share that. Also, as someone who has mentored a lot of different women leaders and who is has like had many doors open to me by women leaders, actually, I am very grateful to you as like someone who is in that way like being a catalyst for gender equality in particularly in Asia, which is where it's much needed, but also in a sector with waste where it's also much needed, and in ways a multidimensional way of skills training, industry training, social impact training in that way, which I also think is amazing. And finally, I just want to deeply thank you for your role in something which you alluded to multiple times was you were inspired by the women that were like in the program. You also have taken the time to share their story, but also centering their stories in what you've shared. So I'm very awed at the humility, the presence, the empathy, and the way in which you have the unique way in which you display advocacy in that way. So again, I want to like with that, I just want to honor you for being an amazing voice, but I also want to honor the women that are like who you have impacted, who've been through your programs, and I want to thank them as well. To all the women who have been like in these programs, and I want to thank you personally for all the amazing things that you have done. And I wish that like everyone like will understand that you are making a tremendous impact, both in your communities, but also in the world. Not just people who are listening to this podcast, but also the people, because your work materially impacts people all around the world. So I just hope that the women who have participated in your programs, who are in those communities, they also understand this. So again, thank you so much to each of you women that are listening, who have been beneficiaries of this program and beneficiaries of them. And also thank you, Anna, very much.
Thank you so much, Naraya. Thank you.
You're most welcome. And so it was really an amazing conversation. I am so grateful that you took the time to be here. I look forward to staying in touch. But as this is the end of our episode, I'd like to say bye for now, Anna. Bye.
Bye.
To our listeners, thanks for tuning in to this episode of Founders Amplified. I hope you're feeling as inspired as I am. If you'd like to learn more about our guests and support them, check out the show notes for their details. If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a rating, share it with someone you know, and follow us for more inspiring episodes like this one. If you're a founder who is driving innovation and impact in any industry or sector anywhere in the world and would like to be a guest, we'd love to hear from you. Check out the show notes for more information. And finally, remember that you, yes, you, have the power to amplify the voices around you. Whether you're a colleague, family member, friend, funder, mentor, or just another fellow human, your support matters. So I invite you to celebrate and uplift the underrepresented innovators in your life who are driving innovation and impact. Let's create a better future for everyone, together. Until next time, stay curious, stay bold, and keep amplifying.